Hi everyone, welcome to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel. This is Rena. This is day 3 of introductions for the Mama Elephant January 15th release. Here's a look at Zodiac Tiger. I really love this little guy. I love the little stamps that it comes with. I like the boba. Also that image with the square and the fish inside. You can make that a little red envelope if you would like to decorate this for Chinese New Year. My personal favorite image of the little images is the little taco. So cute. Here's a look at the coordinating dies. As always with these Zodiac sets, it will come with 2 U-shaped dies that you can overlay over your image if you would like a cutout to have the animal hold something. Also, just a little tip, anytime you die cut over a die cut, there will be a indentation, so you want to smooth that out with a bone folder or run it through your die cut machine again. I wanted to keep the coloring simple here, so I'm using my Arteza Real Brush Markers. These are the colors that I'll be using, and I will be coloring images for 2 different cards. I stamped out the images using VersaFine Onyx Black ink on Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm coloring these images by outlining it section by section. I don't want to outline the whole thing all at once because I want my ink to be very wet, and when the ink is very wet, it's easy to manipulate and smooth across the paper. Adding a little pink to the ears, and I believe I colored his nose black this time. And then we're going to do, of course, rosy cheeks. And I want to fade that color out a little bit more, so I'm using just plain water. And I'm kind of moving that ink toward the inside of the belly, just so everything is smooth and it's a smooth transition to the white. I liked using my Arteza markers for this. I wanted to use Copics, but I didn't have the right shades and tones of color that I wanted to use. And also it's a lot easier to achieve this fade to white type of coloring using watercolor versus Copic markers. I'm just like a real snob when it comes to color. Like, I wanted like a certain shade of yellow and a certain shade of orange, and those were available in my Arteza markers. I'm going to construct my background right now. So I have the previously released Making Waves cover die, and the waves have some slits. I'm just doing a little bit of masking just so I can ink blend on top of the waves. I'm using a flat brush and Mermaid Lagoon in the Distress Oxide ink. After I do the tops of the waves, I also do all around just so the panel is kind of framed out. So I'm just going to do some quick ink blending. I use a very light hand, and you have to make sure that you don't have a ton of ink on your brush. I've cut out the images using the coordinating dies. For this particular one, I did cut out that slit so I can slip that little sushi in his little hand. So my little tigers are having a party in the ocean. And I'm just going to stack them one on top of the other, and I'm just using the different little stamps that the stamp set comes with. And I tried to make this kind of like an ocean theme, and I realized later that I don't believe tigers hang out in the ocean, but my tigers do. I just kind of wanted to stack them on top of each other and then have them have like a little pool party. I'm using the sentiment that comes from the stamp set here, and I'm just using the Distress Oxide ink color that I used to ink blend the background, just so everything kind of is cohesive color wise and kind of melds into each other. Every time I make a kind of ocean or water card, I love using these droplet embellishments. I think these particular ones are from Pretty Pink Posh, and I think I love the water droplet look, and so I'm just scattering them about in different places of the card. The last little detail on this card I'm going to do is just a couple of white dots. I'm doing like a trio of white dots in like different areas of the tigers, and then also in different parts of the wave. I just wanted a little bit of detail to break up some of the color, just so it had a little bit of added interest. Once I'm done with the white pen detailing, I'm going to call this card done, and I will pop this card front onto a top folding card base. Here is a look at the final card. I really loved making this one. I think it came out super cute. The next card I'm going to make is a shaker card. I have a piece of A2 size paper there, which will be my background of the shaker card. I am using the tri-grid window, and I wanted to have the backing of the shaker card have a design on it. So I'm unclear on why I did this crazy masking, but that's what I did. I cut out the tri-grid window on some regular copy paper, and I'm just kind of anchoring it down on my A2 size panel. I'm not sure why I did it this way. I'm sure I had a reason. But I will be doing some ink blending on the back, and I'm just going to do it on the top half of each of the panels. There are 3 panels here. I'm using peacock feathers to ink blend on the top of each of the panels. This card was blowing my mind because I did make a mistake, and I'll point it out. It's like such a rookie mistake, but I'll show you what I did wrong. So I am using the swinging borders. I wanted to create a little bit of environment for my tigers. So for the first panel, I'm going to stamp out the sentiment, and note the sentiment is down at the bottom. I'm using the banners, and then also this great little leaf vine, just to make sure that my tigers are in the right environment. So this is going to be kind of like a easy jungle kind of background. The swinging border stamp set is previously released. I'm stamping out this vine and banner using, I believe, Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink, and because I stamped it out on Bristol Smooth cardstock, the ink is still wet, and also you have to be careful because you might smear. But since the ink is still wet, I decided to take my water brush and switch that color around just so my images don't look flat. And it's just super easy. The ink is still wet. My water brush is like a little bit damp, and then I'm just swishing that color around. I have my sentiment here from the stamp set, and I will stamp that out there on the top panel. I did cut out my tri-grid window. This will be the front of my card. So I did, I believe, cut that out using Bristol Smooth cardstock because I wanted the ink blending to go smooth. I'm using that Lucky Clover, and I'm kind of doing a dark to light, just so there's just a little bit of interest and color variation. I'm going to make sure that I have a lighter and lighter hand as I go to the bottom. I have a piece of acetate here, which is A2 size, but I always like to shave off like a 1/16 of an inch, so when I adhere it to my card front, that I don't have to be super exact or a little bit of the acetate hangs over. I'm going to take some double-sided foam adhesive and adhere it to my tri-grid window. I'm making my shaker wells here. I am using, I think, my weather stripping tape that I like to use for the shaker card. I like it because it's a thin size and I don't have to do all of this crazy doubling up of tape, which I don't mind doing, but this tape is just easier to use for me. So now I'm going to take my mask off of my backer, and again, I don't know why I did all that crazy masking. I don't know. You may not have to do all that crazy masking, but I'm filling out my shaker wells with different colored sequins and little baubles and different jewels, and I'm trying to kind of match the colors that I used on the card. This is like my favorite part. I have tons of these jewels and confetti and sequins, and I just like to mix it up and make my own shaker mixes. When I'm done putting in my shaker mix, I'm going to take the release paper off of the adhesive tape, and then I will carefully take the backer that I made and put that on top of my shaker wells. When you flip the card over, you should see that everything landed where it needed to land. And it did, yay! So I'm going to foam tape my images onto the card. And you see where I made the mistake there. I had stamped out the sentiment at the bottom of the shaker well, but the sequins will be covering it. So next time I make a card like this, I'm going to make sure that I put my sentiment on the top because the sequins are going to naturally be at the bottom of the card. So after I adhere my tiger images, I'm going to call this card done and throw it on top of a top folding card base. Here is a look at the shaker card. I love it. Okay, that's it. That's all the cards for today. Make sure to join me tomorrow. Tomorrow we have our last day of intros, and I have a very cute, simple card to share. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give this video a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel and tap on that bell for future videos. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you have an awesome day. Happy crafting. Bye, guys.